Alright, so where we last left off, we had just animated all the valves and all the rocker arms. We also created the rocker arms as well. Next thing we need to do is create the valve springs. So the way we're going to do that, we're actually going to add a cube. Why a cube? Because a cube... Okay, I'll stop saying that. A cube will basically end up setting up everything for us. It'll tell us like the depth of the head and all of that. So if we have a cube right here, I'm going to press 3 on the keyboard. I'm actually going to move this side out about right there. I'm going to select this side. I'm going to move it out right about here. Yeah, that looks good. Just going to move this all the way over like so. And so now I can actually select this face. I can go ahead and do inset. I'm just going to bring this in just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to press W on the keyboard. I'm going to select this face, this face, this face, and this face. And I'm going to extrude the region. You can also extrude along normals. No harm in doing so. So now we have the head. Of course, you have like oil ports and things like that in here. But humor me. Oh, and you also have like these little bridges right here that come up on the head that the camshaft rests on. We'll get to that, maybe. Okay, so back to where we were. So for the head, we need to go and create these springs. The springs. So we're going to press 4. We're going to go to Object. No, I'm sorry, we're going to go to Add. We want to go to Mesh. And, as you can see, we have no spring. We could do a Bezier curve. We could do a surface. We could loft the crap out of it. We're not going to do that. We are not going to do that. Not today. So, how are we going to do this then? I actually want to move my 3D cursor over here. So this way, when I create an object, it'll actually put it right yeah. So, is what we want to do. First of all, the first thing we want to do is we need to lower the amount of faces this has, because this is obnoxious. Let's say 12. Minor segments. What are minor segments? Segments that go around. These major segments are the amount of segments that go along the edge right here, and the minor segments are the segments that are actually going around the whole, like this little line right here that I'm following. So we can actually set that to something like 6. And if you're wondering, like, but that looks so blocky, it does look blocky. Humor me. What we can do is we can actually right click on this and we can do a shade smooth. And whenever we scale this down, you're not going to see the imperfections. So for now, let's go ahead and go in here, and we're going to select this whole edge loop. We actually want to, we're actually going to rip this from here, and I wish we could do it that way, but we can't. But what we can do is move this over just a little bit. I'm going to select this. I'm going to slide an edge right here. I'm going to get it super close. Super close. I'm going to go into wireframe. I'm also going to turn on press 3 on the keyboard, so that's why I'm in face. There we go. So the reason why I want to be in wire or in X-ray mode, because you can only select faces if you actually hover over the dots. If you don't hover over the dots, you can't select those faces. So that allows me to select all these faces super easy, and I can just delete them. So that's the only reason for that. I don't know why I went into wireframe. Habit, I don't know. So now what we can do is we can select one of these edge loops, and watch this. We can just simply bring it up. Now, this is where we go into soft selection. Soft selection is going to be... Yeah, I'm trying to remember how to do this. So it's... man, I wish I could remember how to do it. There is a way to do it. I just can't remember how to do it. So all we're going to do is Ah, that's not what I wanted. Evil Blender. Really? Come on, Blender. Don't do this to me. Alright, we're going to select that. We're going to move up just a little bit. And one of the things I actually want to do, I'm going to move this one up here. And all we have to do is just move all of these in the proper position. Do that and everything should be okay. So this will come up. And all I'm doing is just trying to follow this curve right here. There we go. So we're going to continue following this curve. About right there. So one of the other shortcut keys I wish existed is in Maya, if you hold down Control, no, I'm sorry, if you hold down, is it Control? I think it's Control. It will automatically add. If you hold down Shift, it'll do the inverse of the selection. So if it's selected, it'll unselect it. If it's not selected, it will select it. If you hold down Control Shift, it will deselect it. I wish Blender would add that shortcut key to their array of keys. That would just be great. Hint, hint, Blender universe. If there's someone watching me from Blender, they're probably like, just use soft select, it's right there! And they would rightfully be able to yell at me. Which, that's actually something I need to look into. How to do soft select. But realistically, soft select wouldn't really do me any good. I mean, yeah, it'd probably get super close, but it's not. It wouldn't be exactly what I'd be looking for. I really wish I had the ability to just control, click and drag. If I had that ability in here for object selection and edge and vertice selection, I mean, that would just be awesome. That would be really awesome. So, yeah. Alright, so now that we have done that, is what we can do now. I can go ahead and get out of X-ray mode. I actually press 4. I can duplicate, and we're just going to move this up. And lock that right about there. So one of the downsides that we have, and I should have noticed this already looks like a collapsed spring. But that is okay, because we can fix it. Oh, something else I wish Blender had. In Unity and Maya, if you hold down V, you can actually... okay. So if you hold down V, which this is just allowing me to switch the different views, which, yeah, that's cool. But I wish I could actually... Unless it's C? No, it's not C. That just goes to cursor. But allows you to snap the vertices. So, I mean, the industry compatible option, like, it is super close. It is extremely close. It's close enough for me to be able to get a hang of Blender. I really can't thank the guys at Blender enough for setting that up. Because for a Maya user like me who's been wanting to switch but is unable to because I've spent so much time learning all the other keys and everything, this is just, I'm like, this setup is super helpful. It really is. So, all of you guys in the Blender, good job. Seriously, good job. Alright, so after we've created all of these, is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to select them all. I'm going to go to Object, we're going to join them. And then we're going to go into 1. And this is where we go into the top view. We're going to come in here. I don't remember where it was at. It's not there. Okay, there it is. You know what? Instead of doing top view, I'll just do it that way. So, is what I want to do is I actually want to join these by distance. And what I mean by that is we'll come to Vertex. We're going to, it's not in here, so we're going to right click. We're going to go to Merge Vertices. We're going to do by distance. Nothing happened. Well, that's because we need to set this value. So 0.1 is too much. 0.05. There we go. Now all the vertices are now merged. And the last thing we need to do is we need to go into the Y, because I can tell that these aren't quite right. So we're just going to bring these up just a little bit right there. All right. Well, that is actually looking really good. So let's press 4 and go into object mode. So Maya has a deform modifier. I don't believe well, they do have a deform right here. Like all these are deform. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. So basically, whenever you add a deform, you can actually keep its outside the same. I don't see which one it would be. Yeah, so I don't know which one it would be. So basically, we can actually kind of like, there's actually several ways we can do this. We can actually just keep it where this is going to be where the spring is compressed, and just expand it up, which I really don't like doing, because then we get this weird stretching. Oh, let me think about this for just a quick second, you guys. Let's see, how would we do this? I'm pretty sure it'd be a surface deform. I'm like 90% sure of that. But I don't know. Like, normally you shouldn't have a target. Yeah, you shouldn't have a target at all. Let's see. Reactive armature at a procedural version effect. Let's see. Well, I know it's not going to be any of those. It's not going to be Decimate, which that does have a really, really cool effect. What is Screw? Okay, so I'm actually kind of curious about this. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add a cylinder real quick. And I'm going to scale it down quite a bit, because I want to see what Screw is. I have not seen that one before. Where did I see Screw? That is a really, really weird effect. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I have no idea what it... Oh, I see. Okay, that's actually really cool. That is really cool. Wow. Yeah, that's actually really, really neat. Not what I want, but yeah, it's still really neat though, nevertheless. So, spring, yes, right. So, as far as actually setting the spring, the only issue that I have is we don't really have a way to stretch, taper, bend. So actually, I think we do have something here. We just have to figure out which one of these we want to use. So I don't think it's going to be might be doing it in the Y. So it's definitely not a simple deform we want, but we are getting a lot closer to what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and try... Well, it's not going to be as smooth. Well, maybe it would be a... I don't think it's a lattice. There's no way it'd be a lattice. So, I mean, it definitely looks like I want it in the Z. And it's not a... I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to stretch, but the only thing is that it stretches out just the top. And that's one of the downsides of what I'm trying to avoid. So I'm trying to keep it from stretching just the top. I actually just want it to, like, when it says stretch, I want it to, just want to stretch upwards, which is actually kind of aggravating. So I'm going to pause the video right here. I'm going to check out their deforms, and I'll be right back. Okay, so up to my knowledge, I can't find anything where you're actually using geometry, which isn't a big deal. So I'm not too terribly upset about it. Because what we are going to do is I actually want to select all these edges, and I'm just going to bring these edges down. I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to bring these in just a little bit. I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to bring those in. Then I'm going to select all of these right here. I'm going to bring those up. So there we go. I also want to select all of these. I'm going to bring those in as well. And then I'm going to select this one, bring that one in just a little bit more. And I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to bring this one in just a little bit more. And then lastly, I'll finish off with these just a little bit. So here's our spring. Beautiful, isn't it? So basically, I'm kind of beat when it comes to setting up the animation. So we are going to have a little bit of squashing, which is okay, because I think it's going to happen fast enough we're not even going to notice it. I don't really like it, but life's full of things you don't like. So, as what we're going to do is we're actually going to move this over here, about right there. We'll go into the X. We'll just bring it up real quick. We'll come in here, press F to frame in on it, and let's just move it around our valve. So there's that. There's that. There is that. So I'm actually going to scale this up about right there. Now normally these actually have a cap on top of them, and the rocker arm is actually centered. So the spring and the valve are actually centered on the rocker arms. That is one of the differences between what is real world and what I am doing here. But life's full of those little imperfections. I say that and we're making something that's machined. So take it or leave it. Okay, so we're going to duplicate these one more time. Just going to move them over here. There. Select these, duplicate, move them over here. Right there. Nice. So now that we have our valves in place, we are at less than 20,000 faces. I'm actually really amazed at that. I really am. But we have our springs in place, which is actually really neat. Oop. We have an offset. Why do we have an offset? Because our valves, our intake valves specifically, are positioned differently from our our exhaust valves. So move those right there. Those look fine. So, okay, there we go. So now we get to animate. Now these are going to be animated strictly with scale. And I could move all these forward just a little bit. You know, I think I am, because that is way too far back. There we go. Okie dokie. So these are going to be animated strictly with scale. I haven't saved my scene in a while. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so we're going to set those right there. Or actually, we're not going to set those right there. We're going to set these right at 360. Set. 540. Moment of truth. Nice. And now we're just animating springs. Joy. What do you want to be when you grow up, Timmy? I want to animate springs. What? Boy, that looks good. Awesome. It's just so mesmerizing. So if you're wondering what I am using for my reference, because I just go over here and right when it stops, I'll hit another key, I'll go right here in the middle, and I just scale it. And it works. So is what I'm using for reference is very simple. I look right here. This rocker arm's cutting about halfway into the spring. When I animate, I make sure that this is cutting halfway into the spring as well. So if we look at this, you can see that it just stays right there. And honestly, even with it deforming, it really does not look all that bad. Oh, but Jimmy, what are you going to do with this one? Because there's nothing there. Yes, there is not. Which will make my life a little more difficult. But I do not worry about it at all. Did that even set a keyframe? No. Ah, that's why. There we go. Alright, so those are done. Let's frame in on these. Okay, this one's going to be super easy to do. Come on. Once you set, it should be at 360, I think. Set. This one should be at 270. That's why it's better to use the actual timeline to set everything, because you can see how much easier that was, how much quicker that was. So that's why I recommend the timeline versus just eyeballing it like I have been. You don't have to. You can do it either way, like whatever you feel most comfortable with. That's why I encourage you to do. Like, well, ultimately I'm encouraging you to use the timeline. And the only reason for that is because the time slider, you're going to get the most accurate results. But ultimately, it's like it's you are the artist. You're the one who does what you feel comfortable doing. I'm not going to say this is the only way to do it. It's the only industry standard. You're going to have to get used to this. Well, I mean, there are some things that are like that, but generally speaking, um, I mean, it's whatever makes you most comfortable. Like if you can get the same results doing the way that I'm doing this without doing the exact same thing, like you're using your own artistic ability, by all means do it. This is not a one shoe fits all. Is that it? I think. I don't know what the term is, but it's not that. So ultimately, like, I don't want you to think that. Why are those down? Yeah, these are down. Why are those down? That is weird. Is this where the lobes hit? Well, I mean, it is, but... That is really strange. Oh, wait, that's why. So, it actually... It overlaps. That's why. Okay, so this needs to be at negative 3.2. Negative 3.02. And this one will be negative 3.02. Make sure that those keyed in, and then right about here I'm going to set them back to 0. Awesome. Alright, so these are actually going to be kind of a pain because we're already starting off on a lobe. There we go. So I'm actually going to set that right there. I'm going to go to 720. This is where the pain part comes in. So I need to look for the spot where they're down the most, which is right there. I'll animate that coming down. And it would really help if I could remember to set that keyframe. Because if I could set that keyframe, I mean, oh, that would be so beautiful. Okay, so my Z is going to be 0.14. So at 0, I need to make sure this is at 0.14. Is it 1.4? No, it's not. Do I care? No, I do not. Okay, that is at 0.161. This needs to be 0.161. Still have some moving, but you know what? I'm not too terribly worried about that. So all the springs should be animated now. I completely passed it. So I'm going to look at these springs. Those look animated. I already saw these. Okie dokie, so that looks good. If these have been bugging you, right click, shade smooth. That's all you have to do. In fact, because we did that to one, we should be able to press G and just go through these real quick, like I am doing. There we go. Done. Alright, so we have our springs in place. We actually create our head as well. That's basically making an engine. You can build the rest of the components. But this is actually the hard part done. So, the next part will actually be like a little post-mortem on things that we should have done differently. And so I hope to see you there.